It's time for the latest from Germany's domestic football league, the Bundesliga. And for that, we are joined by Kres Harrington from our partner station DW in Berlin. Kres, we've seen a table shuffle following match day 5. Gladbach handed RB Leipzig their first loss of the season, knocking them off the top. Did you expect that result?
Well, I did expect Gladbach to come out on top, considering the momentum coming into that match. But I did expect more goals. I don't think it lived up to the hype. I mean, it was billed the most competitive match of the weekend. One goal when it was all said and done. I did expect it to be more. I did like the fact that Gladbach were sporting their throwback jerseys, all black, pretty jerseys commemorating their 120th birthday. At the club, so that is something, and maybe that got them over the hump. If it wasn't the jerseys, it was definitely one player inside the throwback jersey, Hannes Wolf. Hannes Wolf was a lone player from RB Leipzig. Nagelsmann didn't need his services, wanted him to step his game up elsewhere, and he came back to bite Leipzig in the butt. I mean, basically what he did, because he had the game's only goal, a remarkable win, for Gladbach, considering where Leipzig were in the standings, the top dog, in the league right now, but all in all, the reality is both teams were coming off of competing in the Champions League. Both teams are running on half a tank of gas. So it pretty much was a matchup of who could endure the most and rise to the limited occasion. And we only saw pretty much one clear one, in this match. Nagelsmann felt it was a tie. The results say otherwise. The 3 points, matters. And now RB Leipzig are out of the top spot and have made way for Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich, who are joint leaders of the standings right now. But just to touch on this thing again, the history Leipzig were coming into this match, I think, hurt them even more. I think if you're defeated by 5 goals, expect your next outing to kind of suffer, from the memory of that defeat. Marcus Rashford hurt them badly in the Champions League prior to kickoff against Gladbach. So Gladbach, have been doing better, and the momentum showed, and they got the result they wanted.
Before the primetime Gladbach-Leipzig match, Bayern defeated Cologne to secure top spot, a result that surely was expected, but there was something surprising about that match. What can you tell us?
Yeah, that's not a big shock that they defeated Cologne. Cologne stinks. I mean, they've been stinking for a while, and this was a match day of mismatches. There was no Lewandowski in the lineup, and that doesn't necessarily hurt Bayern Munich's chances. It's a shock because Lewandowski's always there, and Cologne, to their credit, they kind of made Bayern work for the win. But it wasn't easy for Bayern. A penalty from Thomas Müller, opened up the scoring. Then Gnabry added another, making his return known after his COVID-19 layaway. But it wasn't easy. Cologne managed to pull one back, and Bayern had some missed opportunities to add to their lead. Hansi Flick acknowledged the fact that it wasn't the prettiest win. It was a labored victory. And the more important thing is what the players have to say after this performance as well. They acknowledge anything could have happened, but the most important thing is they picked up the 3 points. They're in a good position right now to defend their crown. They just have a neighbor that they have a short history of beating up on in Borussia Dortmund. So that's where we are right now, and it's pretty interesting. I'd have to say the standings right now.
Kres, Dortmund had no trouble against promoted side Arminia Bielefeld thanks to Matt Hummels' brace. The black and yellow now take joint top of the table with Bayern, and the two face off next match day. What are your thoughts on that match?
Yeah, my thoughts, I really think that Mats Hummels will have to keep on the S on his chest and the cape on his back. He'll still have to be Superman, because he's had heroic performances for Borussia Dortmund lately, scoring a nice header, against Shalke, and then coming off a brace. He'll have to bring his A game, the maturity on the pitch as well, and all of the youngsters at Dortmund are going to have to corral themselves up to really compete against Bayern Munich, because history is completely against Dortmund in this matchup. The last 5 times they've met, Dortmund have only won once. They've only scored 4 goals in those 5 matches. Bayern have scored 13. I mean, it's real simple and clear. Right now, the form Bayern Munich are dealing with are head and shoulders above, I think, if you just calculate everything combined. I mean, both teams have been defeated domestically right now, but head-to-head, I really like Bayern Munich. The Mia San Mia mentality has proven superior as of late. The latest matchup in the Super Cup, it was close, but, Joshua Kimmich came through at the end, with the beautiful goal. It will take some sort of heroic performance, I think, from Dortmund's side if they're going to compete. I think this should be a cracker. Hopefully this does live up to the hype. Unlike the other match I mentioned earlier with Leipzig and Gladbach, I want to see a lot of goals. I'd like to see some back and forth, and I'd like to see some grit on the pitch, and hopefully we do get that.
Let's take a look at some history quickly. In the early 70s, a number of German players were banned from German football for match fixing, and they ended up playing in South Africa. Are match fixing allegations still rife in German football, or is it a thing of the past?
Well, there have been two major incidents infecting German football. One happened in the early 70s. Another happened, in the mid-2000s. I'll touch on the first one. A total of actors from 9 different clubs were involved in the manipulation, the match fixing. Among them, Arminia Bielefeld, Offenbach Kickers, Schalke, and Hertha Berlin. During this time, there was a battle for survival in the 1970 and 1971 season between Bielefeld and Offenbach. And there were a few matches that took place, that proved the match fixing actually occurred. In one match between Hertha Berlin and Arminia Bielefeld in 71, the match took place right here in Berlin. The last match day of the season, it's very pivotal, right? We all know that. Hertha were comfortable. Arminia Bielefeld needed a win to secure their survival, and they got the win. All of this was disclosed because an Offenbach president at the time gave an audio cassette tape basically spilling all the beans, and several players, were basically incriminating themselves, making themselves open to be bribed in giving a certain result. And Hertha Berlin, a lot of players, they had it basically good in a lot of ways. A lot of people, they were being paid to lose the match, and others were paying them to win the match. Well, ultimately, they lost the match, and one player that found another life in South Africa was Bernd Potska, the German international. He was at Hertha Berlin during the time. His voice was on the audio cassette. He was banned for 10 years. He went to South Africa and continued playing only because South Africa was not part of FIFA during the time due to apartheid. So that basically gave him the green light. He went on to win in South Africa. He ultimately returned. He was pardoned and returned and ended up coaching, but that was one match. Another match during that season was between Bielefeld and Schalke, and that's why Schalke is referred to FC Meineid, which means perjury, because Schalke at the time were the dominant side and Arminia Bielefeld beat them. It was proven the game had been sold by Schalke players, and they actually were in court. They lied in court, hence the name FC Perjury or FC Meinheit. If you talk to a lot of old Dortmund fans, they're familiar, that this name kind of was stuck to Schalke for nearly a decade. So you have that ugly history. Fast forward to 2005. 2005, it was kind of ridiculous. A referee was basically involved, in a scandal of match fixing. It was estimated to be worth 2 million euros, and it focused on the second division, third division, and the German Cup. The referee's name was Robert Heutzer, and he actually confessed to the match fixing. And that's sad to see because coaches, officials, and others, including organized crime groups, were involved with the scheme. And it came to light eventually while Germany was playing host to the World Cup. So that's never a good time. You could argue that was a timed release of this information or what have you. But they say the Bundesliga wasn't impacted during this match fixing, but there was one particular match that you could argue otherwise. The one match I'm talking about, it was between SC Paderborn, they were a regional side at the time, against Bundesliga heavyweights Hamburg. And this German Cup match, Hamburg lost because there were 2 highly questionable penalties awarded to Paderborn. Plus, Hamburg had a player sent off. So that's that's a very unlevel playing field to try to secure a win. And you can always argue maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, affecting that, that particular match, which did result in a top flight team suffering, from this disgusting act from the referee. But nonetheless, It's happened, and we have to see if it happens again. I mean, I think we have to wait and see if there's some sort of revelation, some sort of disclosure of evidence. That's the only way we'll know for sure, because crazy things happen on the football field, and sometimes upsets happen.
Thank you for the Bundesliga update, Kres Harrington, from our partner station DW in Berlin, Germany. Have a great week.
See you next time.